Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now today we're going to be taking a look at another one of these unofficial Windows versions. This one right here is called the Windows XP Vienna edition. I've done a few of these videos in the past. I think that my most popular one is the Windows XP Gold video. I also did Windows 7 Gold, Windows XP Black, Windows XP Micro, and Tiny 7. All of these, if you've never really heard of them, I sort of call them like fan-made Windows versions. They're not really anything like officially made by Microsoft by any means, but these are just, you know, like sometimes just one person, sometimes a whole group of people that basically modify either Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, you know, whatever Windows version they're using, and they add, you know, a lot of like third-party software. They add, you know, like some features and change, you know, like the interface around. So for example, Windows XP Gold has like a whole like golden interface, which is basically, you know, how that it got the name. This one right here, Windows XP Vienna edition, I believe is going to look a little bit like Windows 7 because the codename Vienna, or the name Vienna rather, is the code name or one of the code names for Windows 7. So I have not actually taken, you know, a look at this, so this is going to be sort of a whole like blind installation. I've never, you know, really taken a look at this before, so we're gonna be, you know, just like doing that together here. You can see that I've set up this virtual machine here with 2 gigabytes of RAM, a dual core processor, and a 25 gigabyte hard drive. This one, you know, because it's based off of Windows XP, I don't really think it's going to need that many resources. But I do believe, you know, that this person or this group of people, you know, have added a lot of like third-party stuff. You know, most notably is probably going to be some themes, maybe, you know, like some extra third-party software. We're going to see what it contains. So let's just go ahead and, you know, power on this virtual machine here. I believe that this ISO file comes in at like 600 or 700 megabytes, so it's not really that large at all. And so far, you know, this whole Windows setup, I think, you know, like this whole portion right here, sort of like the NT style setup is going to look pretty much identical to Windows XP. They may have changed the name around up here, as that's something that Windows XP Gold did. They actually changed it like up there at the top where it says Windows setup to say like Gold XP setup. So we're going to be seeing what it does here once it's, you know, like finished loading. So you can see it goes right into the, like, where that you want to install this to. It just says Windows XP Professional there. It has not asked us to agree to any licensing agreements, so, you know, that basically tells me that they have modified this a little bit. So we're just going to uninstall it on this unpartitioned space, and we're going to format it using the NTFS file system. And right now it was just initializing the Windows XP configuration, and you can see it says restarting computer at the bottom there. Okay, so already, you know, right off the bat, a totally different boot screen. This is the Windows Vista boot screen right here. So they have totally changed that out, so that is pretty interesting. And we're going to see if this setup, I think this is going to be, you know, it's going to have the same layout as Windows XP, but it might look, you know, like with a different theme overlaid onto it. So we'll see what it does here. Again, you know, this is my first time taking a look at it. And you can see here that it does look, you know, a little bit different. All of these elements over here are, you know, pretty much identical to Windows XP. It does have a whole different background. It says the Vienna concept, and I believe this down here is a little bit different as well. But all this text so far, you know, it still says Windows XP Professional, sports a visual design, you know, all the stuff that the standard Windows XP Professional installation would say. It says it's going to take 39 minutes. I don't know if that's accurate, because usually Windows XP does not take a whole long time to install. In, you know, one of my virtual machines, it usually takes, you know, like a maximum of 10 or 15 minutes. So we will see what it does here. I mean, if it's actually going to take 39 minutes, then I'm going to, you know, probably pause the video and, you know, just like come back once it's finished up. Alright, so we have finished with that portion of the installation. Something very interesting, it didn't ask me for any of my user input, so like for my username, my time zone and region, and my product key. It didn't ask me for any of that. I believe Windows XP Gold did, you know, something similar, but it is rebooting here. and we're going to see what it boots into next. If you guys remember with XP Gold, it would come up with this software like installation screen where you could pick all of this different third-party software that you wanted to install, and it would, you know, like when you would click on next, it would auto-install that for you. So it looks like we have the Windows Vista /7 cursor here, so that's pretty cool. And it says Windows XP at this portion. So this is probably going to go into the OOBE setup or the out-of-box experience part. So we're going to click on OK. We're going to click on OK again, and it's going to boot into that. And we'll see if this looks any different. You know, so far it looks totally identical to XP because of this XP screen, but I have a feeling that that's going to change. But it does have the Windows Vista cursor, which is, you know, pretty cool. But there we go. Okay, so it looks like it's going to do something. So we've got the same XP music, this same XP animation here, and oh wow, so this looks pretty much like the Windows XP setup. This looks totally identical. So I guess they did not change this, you know, except for the Windows Vista cursor. So we're gonna go through. We'll turn on automatic updates. Why not? I mean, it's not like we're gonna, you know, really get any. Just going to check. Actually, we don't want to do all this. No, I don't want to register. My name. Okay, we'll put in Michael. Do next, and we're done. So usually at this point, these like unofficial Windows versions go into like an automated sequence where they start to actually crack the installation and install all of its third-party software. So let's see if this does something like that here. Like I said, it didn't ask me for any user input during the second portion of that installation with like the whole different background and that sort of stuff. So I don't know like what the computer name is going to be. It might be something that they set up, but right now we're just like I guess waiting for it to do something here. We had the like Windows Vista welcome screen background for like a few minutes there. Now it's just back to this blue screen. And here we go. So this is where it starts to do all of this kind of stuff. So it's got a bunch of automated commands that it's going to run. So we've got a different login sound. That was one of the unofficial Windows Longhorn sounds, I believe. So yeah, a lot of waiting with these, you know, with these versions. Okay, so we just decided to restart. So here we go. It's going to set up our personalized settings for the themes. So now it's changed over to the visual style that this theme, I assume, is going to use. It's doing something with Windows Media Player. So it might have already done all of the third-party software installation. Maybe there's no third-party software in here. Oh yeah, I mean there is. You see we've got all this stuff here. Alright, so I have gone ahead and changed the resolution to 1920 by 1080, so you'll be able to see everything a little bit better. A couple of things that stand out to me. First of all, down here we have a Windows Aero Glass Transparency clone going on down here. This does a pretty decent job at mimicking Windows Aero, which is of course on Windows Vista and Windows 7. You can see it's sort of transparent behind this taskbar here, and we have of course a Windows Vista style like start button. This does look a little bit different than the Windows Vista one, and this really looks very like, you know, this is a very good clone of the Windows Vista taskbar. For the Windows Vista, or you know, the XP Vienna Edition start menu, you can see it sort of looks like the Windows Vista one. There is no Aero Glass transparency on this, but the theme has been changed to look like that of Windows Vista. We also have a program called Rocketdock up here. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what this is. It does have a theme applied to it to make it sort of like blend in with this whole theme. And we also have this other program over here that I've not really heard too much about, and that's the Windows 7 dock, as you can see down here. It does keep like an icon in the taskbar here. You can see we also have, if I can mouse over that again, we have like Aero. Okay, well it was just doing it, but I'll get into that later. But yeah, so there's this thing called the Windows 7 dock. I've never really heard too much about this, but apparently it's a like sort of launcher program where you can go through. And there's a lot of different customization options. Oh, okay, cool. You can change it to be in like none. Okay, so now it'll hide itself from there, so that's pretty nice. But it's, you know, another sort of like a launcher program, kind of like Rocketdock is. And we also have, if we mouse over here to the side, or at least, okay, so this up here, we have this other launcher. So there's like 3 launchers built into this. I'm not sure if like the person or the group of people that made this intended you to use all of these, but it's definitely nice that they give you the option to do that. I think we can even move this down if we want to, or move it up. And it just kind of stays on the side of the screen. You can see there's that little pop out there, and when you mouse up to it, it kind of pops out. It kind of reminds me of the way, if you've ever used a Windows 7 touchscreen computer, it would keep the on-screen keyboard tucked behind here in kind of the same interface. So when you would like tap over here on the side, it would pop out, and then you would tap a button to get access to the on-screen keyboard, or I believe it was the on-screen keyboard. So this here, we've got sort of like a mini start menu. So we have, you know, it's like some shortcuts to My Computer, My Documents, Windows Media Player, Internet Explorer, and the Recycle bin. So let's go ahead and open up some windows here. So we'll open up My Computer. You can see it does that nice pop-out animation when you open it up. We have a like Windows Vista themed Windows Explorer. There's no Windows Aero going on here, but we do have all of these icons have been changed here. So if we go in there, you can see this looks very Windows Vista-like. All of the folder icons have been changed. This up here does look, you know, totally different. Windows Vista did not have this, you know, like this big bar up here going on. But this does look, I mean, this whole style here looks like, you know, like this would be in Windows Vista. So you may be able to notice on this window here, we have a nice shadow effect going on. It is, you know, very faint, but it you know, is there, so that is pretty nice. And this is through a program that is bundled with this called Wise Shadow, or YZ Shadow. This program was also, if you saw my Fly Kite OS 10 video, which is a theme that is, you know, designed to make Windows XP look and feel like Mac OS 10. You know, some of the earlier versions of Mac OS 10, but this program was in there, you know, was in that pack to give all of the windows this nice shadow effect. So that is pretty cool. So yeah, we have that there. We've got a couple of other things on here. We've got the hardware monitor, which is, you know, nothing really that special. I mean, you can go and actually download, you know, this program today. It just kind of shows you what hardware is in your computer. We've got this program called File Menu Tools here, which it just popped up and said File Menu Tools has been enabled. I'm not really sure what that does, but if you notice, there is that new sound that played as well, so that is pretty nice. We have the Ultra Explorer here. Okay, so now it just popped up with File Menu Tools. I guess, okay, so this is going to be like a right-click context menu modifier sort of thing. So if we go into, like, I guess, let's just go into, oh, and now we have, oh, so that's cool. Now we have Aero Glass Transparency on the start menu, so that's interesting. I don't know what started that. Maybe Wise Shadow did that. So that is pretty cool. We'll go into My Documents here. So usually what this is when you click, so let's go to, like, I guess there's no photos. Let's just go to the C drive here. It's going to open up Internet Explorer. I don't want to do that. Let's just go into My Computer here. So what this is, I believe, supposed to do is change what is on the right-click menu. So when we go into like Local Disk C, we'll right-click on this, and you can see, yeah, we've got all these options here that you can change and modify from within this program. So that is very cool. So we've got a lot of useful options in there. So we will close out of that. So that's what that program does. We've got Ultra Explorer here, which I believe is going to be sort of like a Windows Explorer replacement tool, maybe the one that you are supposed to use with this pack. So you can see it's kind of like a Windows, you know, like it sort of combines the Windows Explorer here, and there's also some Internet Explorer elements here, you know, in here as well, you know, like this toolbar. So yeah, that is pretty nice. Let's go to Help About. So this is copyright 2007, version 1.5.0.3. So that is pretty cool. I guess it's sort of, you know, like a file browser. It looks like you can have tabs, so that is pretty nice. So we'll close out of that. We have a program called True Transparency, which I believe Okay, so look at that. So when we launch that, now we get Aero glass transparency on all the windows now. So if I go in here and open up like another window here, you can see that it pops up and we have Aero glass transparency. You can see right through this title bar. So that is pretty cool. You can see it's having a little bit of a hard time kind of like rendering these windows, but that's just because I haven't really installed VMware tools and we are in a virtual machine. So, you know, it's going to be, you know, kind of behave a little bit differently than it would on real hardware. So that is, you know, pretty cool that that is there as well. That kind of makes the whole pack look a lot more like Windows Vista and Windows 7. We've got Core Temp in here as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what that is. We have a program called ThumbWin, which I believe is going to, it looks like it doesn't really do a whole lot, but I believe what this does is, and this is what I started to mention before, when you have Windows open like this, and when you have the minimize, if you mouse over this taskbar, you can see that it gives you a nice window preview. This is something that both Windows Vista and 7 did. Windows 7's sort of version of this was a lot better than Windows Vista. It was, you know, expanded upon by Microsoft. So this one here just gives you a nice little thumbnail of that window. We of course have Rocketdock. We have Resource Hacker, which I assume is what, you know, that this person or, you know, that this group used to kind of modify a lot of the resource settings. If we go into Run here, I'm curious to see if they modified WinVer at all. So you can see they have. It's calling itself Windows Vista X or Windows Vista 10 maybe. This is, I guess, the like whole group that made it. Maybe this is a different theme. I've not heard of Windows Vista X before. So it's version 5.1. Of course, this is all going to say, you know, like a bunch of Windows XP stuff up here. This is not really able to be changed. And it's licensed to activated user at sharingcenter.info. So that might be the site that this is from. And we'll go into my computer. We'll go into properties here and see what this does. So we have this whole different system properties view right here. It's calling itself Microsoft Windows XP Windows 7 Vienna. It's First Pack 3, 2008 to 2009, and, you know, by this same person right here. It gives us a Windows Experience Index. I think this might just be like a static image. I don't really think there is like a Windows Experience Index program in here. It's a certified for Windows Vista. It gives us, you know, all of like our system specifications here. And this is the product key or the product ID here. I think this is also faked like as well, because there's not oh, there's apparently like a hotline you can call, I guess. Thanks for your confidence and support. I don't really think any of this is like, I don't think this is like a real product ID, and I don't think this is a real Windows Experience Index, but, you know, it is there and it does make it look more like the Windows Vista. I mean, because if you maximize this here, which I guess we can't, but this sort of looks like the Windows Vista like system properties. You can see that I think they even took this image up here, view basic information about your computer, from like a Windows Vista install, because you can kind of see there's like a faint white outline there, and this help button up here, which isn't actually a button, it's just an image that's there. If we go over to computer name, the default computer name is XP Windows 7. So this is where, you know, you can go in here and change that. We've got hardware, so, you know, you can view device manager. All of this, all these options are, you know, pretty much the same as Windows XP. They've just kind of been laid out a little bit differently. So that is very nice in there. Pretty much all of these extra visual elements kind of tie the whole theme together to make it look more like a pretty decent Windows Vista /7 theme for Windows XP. So I guess what we can do is go ahead and I just kind of want to see what control panel looks like and see if they modified that at all. So they kind of have. I mean, it has like the same bar up here that the Windows Explorer had, and they've modified all these icons in here as well, and they have applied a Windows Vista icon pack. So that is very cool. I don't know, can we go to the category view and see? How do you go to the category view? Maybe you can't even go to the category view. Maybe they just took that out entirely. I forget how you do that. Is this copy of Windows illegal? Yeah, probably not. It's probably, I mean, Windows XP Vienna is not an official version of Windows, you know, by any means. But yeah, I think that is pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. This was, a sort of brief look at this Windows XP Vienna Edition unofficial Windows version. I know that a lot of you guys, really like these videos. A lot of my videos on these unofficial Windows versions have got, pretty decently popular. So I figured I would make another one here. Yeah, so if you guys enjoyed this video, definitely sure to give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like this in the near future. And definitely sure to leave me a comment down below, letting me know what you guys think of this video. If you want to see me do more videos like this, more unofficial Windows versions, as I can definitely do them. As always, guys, I want to, of course, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.